Today we have another young Indian with us, part of the Voice of the Young series. Hello everybody, good to be with all of you once again. Today we have with us Mahak Mittal. Let's hear from her. Over to you, Mahak.
Hello everyone, this is Mahak. I currently put up in Mumbai, but I belong to a very small town named Raigad in the state of Chhattisgarh. Now, to give you a context about my life and how I have made a life here in Mumbai, I've been born in a joint family and I have five brothers and no sisters. Being the only daughter in a family with five brothers in a small town of a country which is India, patriarchy does exist in a very huge manner even now. I've had to struggle my way through to come up to the place I am. Back then, when I used to go to school or when I was preparing for college, there was no concept called as an independent woman in my locality or even the town itself. Even now, I get questions like, why do you need to be independent? And that is the story of my life. And I hope this video, this interview that I'm doing with Dr. Mathur does inspire a girl or two to take up their independence in their own hands. So to start off with, since childhood I've been academically oriented. I wouldn't say I'm a bookworm, but I think I'm smart enough. I'm able to drive myself to achieve more. And I think that was the beginning when my father realized that I want her to become something. But even then, when I was around 10, 12 years old, he started saying things like, I want you to become an engineer, complete a dream that I was not able to do because of my conditions back then. And I'd seen him struggle from being a family with not a lot of financial capability to the current state they are. I think it's only because of my father and my uncle's work that they have been able to bring it. And I also wanted to become someone who's self-made just like them. And that is when it started. So earlier I was studying to become an engineer for completing my father's wishes. Little did I know, along the line I would find myself, and that's how it went. Although it was not very easy to get here. When I
So
wanted to study
are you in the
outside.
middle or at the bottom or the top of your siblings?
So I am the eldest sibling, eldest
Okay.
sibling in
All
the
right. So at
family.
least you had that advantage of not being bossed by your older brothers.
No, I think I boss them around. But even then, the age gap is not a lot
Yeah,
being
I
in a joint
understand.
family.
Yeah.
And the resources being allocated have to be, rationed, I would say.
Yeah.
Especially back then when we were, not as financially secured as we are this day.
Okay.
And I think that is when things started looking up better from my family side, because with passing time, they also realized that at least for now, we are not compromising on the girls' education because we want the boys to be better. And uh, that was the first step that my family also took towards helping me be here. I was given the same education, same opportunities as them, as my brothers from them. But I had to fight for things like coming to Mumbai to study, because why send a girl, especially a degree in economics, which is not very famous in India. So I did my bachelor's from Mumbai, and economics in India is not a very well known, educational background. People prefer being an engineer or a doctor and something like that. However, I had to, make my way through it.
But by
Initially,
the
when I
way,
was in
why
school,
did you want to do economics? How did you get to know it?
yeah, that is what I was coming
Okay.
to next. So when I was in, class 9th, 10th, I wanted to be an engineer, to be honest. But being in a small town, I didn't think the education infrastructure was such that it will help me get a good college, or even a college that I would be fine with, because I think in order to thrive, I also need an environment. I also need to be in a setup where other people are also smart. And because I was not given the opportunity, or I was not able to go outside for my uh, education and to prepare for an engineering college in India, the competition is very tough. You can't, not get the right infrastructure and make it. I decided to change my career paths and make sure I do the best at what I am getting, and hence I choose commerce for my 11th, 12th education. And that is when economics, I think, interested me a lot. Those 2 years, class 11th and 12th
Okay.
of education, and studying accountancy, economics, and other parts of the commerce genre of studies, I got
They had
too
a good
interested in
college in your
economics.
town.
No, colleges in our town are not
No, but
good.
this 11th and 12th was good.
Yeah, it was average, I would say,
No, but
because
they
now I see,
prepared you to enough to get admitted to BA in Mumbai, so it couldn't have been terrible.
yeah, it was not terrible for sure, but I was in boarding school before going to this school for 2 years, and that was outside my town. That was because, being the eldest gives me that benefit that the two eldest, children of the family were sent to study first, and I got to go there, but I had to come back because of some personal reasons.
Yeah.
And I think that developed a lot of confidence in me that I could do things.
Okay.
So even today, I would not credit my school a lot of the credit for how I was able to prepare for this, because I think more than school, it was my self drive. Now, if
Okay.
you look at the school in general and the classmates I had back then, I don't think more than 10% of us have gotten out of the town and really took a good college.
I get
So
it.
that explains, the difference, I think I would say. But surely, school had a major role to play, but mostly because it gave me the confidence that the more harder I work, the better the results get. And I
Okay.
think that is where the development from my school side came.
So who
In
told
school
you
also.
about these colleges in Mumbai and all? Internet, friends, teachers? From where the heck did you learn all this?
So, given my family background, I had no elder, relative who has actually studied outside the town or outside the state. No one in the school also knew a lot. It was just my own research, and that is how I ended up here. I also got into some colleges in the Delhi University, but my parents were very unsure of sending me to Delhi. So that's how I ended up being in Mumbai.
Why?
Um,
What's the difference between Mumbai and Delhi for them?
so, it was like a historic moment for the family. The girl of
Yeah.
the family is going out to study,
Yeah.
and they were very cute, very scared. Is it safe? Like,
Yeah.
these metro cities have an image for the small towners,
Yeah.
and Delhi in particular is not a very well looked up city in India because
Okay.
of the crime rate against women specifically. So I think that was the major reason that they chose Bombay over Delhi,
Okay.
and that's how it started. Bombay was culturally shocking,
Which
coming
college
from
did you go to?
I went to Narse Munji Institute of Management Studies
Yeah.
for their BSc in economics course, and the journey here, those 3 years were very, exhilarating, tough, but also a lot of learning. So on both professional and personal fronts. So personally, for the first 6 to 7 months, I used to call my father, please bring me back. I don't want to be here. It's very different from what I've been, what culture I've been in, and what kind of life I've lived. And he used to always say, take another 2 months, and if you're still not fine, I'll bring you back. And this went on, and with time, I think I settled in. It was just a new place, new friends, no one I knew beforehand, and it created a lot of anxiety because of that. But those 3 years, I think I've achieved a lot. I was the part of the team that was the first team in an undergrad college to qualify for the final levels of the RBI policy challenge.
Okay.
And so I think these small achievements gave me more confidence. And then this was the biggest one then, being 20, 21 years of age, and you go to the RBI headquarters and you feel like, I have got something in me, that
Right.
I can do something,
Right. Right.
that makes a change. And I think that also changed my parents' perspective towards my education, my family's perspective. They knew that this girl has got something in her. She has that drive, she has that brains, she works really hard. And it became a thing with them that, our daughter has been to the Reserve Bank of India.
Yeah.
And I think these kind of achievements are very important
Yeah.
to
They are.
motivate you.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are. Yeah, they are. Right.
So I think these are the reasons I'm very confident that maybe I'm not able to figure it out right now what I want in the next 1 or 2 years, but eventually I'll be able to figure out a way of what makes me happy and do that thing. I currently choose what makes me happy at the moment, or what I think is the right decision for me,
Yeah.
be it personal, be it professional. So these were my foundational years and how they shaped me. Then
Currently, what
it
are you
was
doing?
so currently I'm working with the Aditya Birla Group in Mumbai
Uh-huh.
as a management trainee, and I'm working on a sustainability project with them.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Do they pay
after
enough?
it's
Do they pay enough?
Yeah,
Huh?
they are paying well,
Quite
good
well.
enough for
Okay, fine.
yeah
And that's
for a
another
fresher,
point
I
for
think.
your parents, no? No? That's
Yeah,
you're living with your own money, right?
yeah, I am living with my own money completely.
Yeah.
So not dependent on anyone anymore. But this is a new feeling again, I've started my job 2 months back, and um, it's been a whole different level of independence. I don't need to worry about not being able to, live off that pocket money, because I'm able to plan my finances
Yeah.
beginning of the month rather than, just creating a vicious cycle of ending up with the pocket money earlier than I
Yeah.
was supposed to.
Yeah.
And it also gives me a lot of confidence. Earlier, whenever something happens, whenever I used to call my, father or mother, this has went wrong, what do I do? Now it's like, even if things go wrong and I call them up, they don't know how to help me, because
Yeah.
they don't they have not been in this place.
Right.
They
Right.
don't know
Right.
how
Right.
it
Right.
works.
Yeah.
So I think when you do things yourself, when you are able to take your own decisions, you are empowered. And I think that empowerment is my self drive to do things better, to work harder, to get up every day and go to office first thing. But a, a very huge part of this independence, this empowerment also came from the experience I had before my master's, and in between my master's and my bachelor's. So I decided to take a gap year after my bachelor's and study for the MBA entrance exam in India. And that is where I came across my mentor, Mitali. So with her, I worked in this arena called female labor force in
Yeah.
India. And,
Yeah.
it was both a quantitative and a qualitative analysis based project. So what we used to do is we used to study the numbers on how, the labor force is basis both the genders. So how male counterparts are impacted versus how women are
Mhm.
impacted, especially during COVID when we saw huge losses. And mind you, more than 80% of the job losses were women in the
Okay.
industry. And at that time also, we were interviewing women groups, self-help groups, the NGOs that work with women empowerment across, villages, towns, cities, all of them. And I think I got to see the situation very closely. There
Mhm.
were interviews where we used to come out crying because of the situation we saw. We're seeing, young girls getting married off during COVID because the parents thought that it's less spending, you can't call guests. So, why not marry her off right now? Or we see, domestic abuse. And even in metro cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, when we interview, especially during COVID, what we saw was how abuse has taken a virtual form. How women in corporate were being treated by their colleagues. There were no, working hours concept as such, and there was a lot of abuse of women in general. And I think that has also made me more driven towards
Okay.
proving a point that
Can I stop you
no,
there? This is the
yeah,
first time I've heard this. Okay.
okay,
And you're really telling me something which is unknown to, I think, most people. So it
surely,
is really a learning thing for me, that, I can understand the marrying off. Okay. So that part is not
hmm,
news. That's understandable. But there was a problem in corporations also during the pandemic, and the women suffered more.
right,
This I had no idea and no knowledge. So thank you for bringing that to my attention and to the attention of all the people who watch. That's a key
right.
point, that nobody knew it. Nobody knows it. Thank you for
Nobody does.
the work that you did and the analysis that you did, and for telling us. So, okay, let's continue.
So, to elaborate more on this work, also because I'm very passionate about it, we were actually writing a book chapter for Springer Publications on this topic. It's going to get published very soon. And even Deloitte, even companies like Deloitte, McKinsey had done a research during the pandemic. Women at work, it's a very common phase. that they use, that the consulting firms use, women at work. And there are a lot of reports that stated women have been overburdened with unpaid care work, the household care work that they do, especially during COVID. When the man himself is in the house, it does not have to go out for office, is not helping. Their unpaid care work time and the effort that they had to put in increased so many times that they eventually had to leave the workforce because they're not able to juggle between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Now, things like this, now the asset, ownership, women have no asset ownership as such. So this led to two things. Firstly, because of COVID, there was no public transportation. And as we know, women don't own vehicles in Indian families. They can't go to work. It's as simple as that. And even if they are able to, the public streets, everything is empty. So there are no eyes on the road. So if something goes wrong, there's no one to protect you. So that makes it even more unsafe for them to travel to work.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the second part of this asset, ownership was not having mobile phones or access to the internet. So when all the businesses were moving online, selling their products online, marketing them online, the women who did not have cell phones and access to internet, and we know digital divide is a huge problem in India, they just lost their livelihoods left, right, and center. And even education suffered a lot because, again, if a family has one mobile phone, education of the boy was prioritized over their girl child. And I think the whole ecosystem, the progress that we had made on gender improvement in India, it fell apart. To quote an example, most of the girls in villages are sent to school because you get a free midday meal from them, and the load on the parents goes down. But then COVID disrupted that also. So a lot of girls dropped out of school.
Yes. That I can understand that, right?
Yeah.
You eat enough in that lunch for half for dinner also. So the family actually saves because you're not providing them the meal. Yeah, it's I think it's a known point, right?
Right. Okay. So all of these, structures that we had in place.
Yeah, just disrupted. Let me interrupt you. What they did, it's so well known that actually here in our area, after a couple of months, they started giving the midday lunch outside school.
Right.
The schools were shut, but they would provide the midday lunch at designated places because they realized that without this midday lunch, the children are actually going hungry.
And it's not even only about going hungry, the government in India did provide them with the pulses or, the rice, raw materials, but the families didn't have the money to get oil or to get, stove or gas to cook it out. And I think all of this study it has made me more sensible and sensitive and, aware of the situation. So whenever something, partially sexist also comes up, even as a joke, I know that this is wrong. And I think that has also created a lot of problems with me and how I deal with my friends or my family. So, my mom would say something which is not very, against patriarchy, and then it becomes a fight. It has created a lot of tension, emotional as well. But then I realized if I don't speak up even in front of my family, and even my mom, who has also been a part of this patriarchal structure, she has heard a lot, but she's not ready to accept that it needs to change. And I think that is the drive that I get from doing all of this. From this, it's difficult staying away from your family, doing everything by yourself, and not having anyone around you that is a family or a relative. And at times it does get very lonely. It does get very hard to not have your loved ones around you. But then again, I would say, for the sake of every girl who ever views this video, you have to be the one who changes the system. You can't wait for someone else to change the system so that you are empowered. If you want to be empowered, you have to fight for it. Yeah. And I think that is where all the motivation comes from. And I also think that, so to quote a live example, right after 2 years after I was sent off to college in Mumbai, a distant relative of mine, a girl, few years younger to me, fought with the family to go to Calcutta to complete her education, and now she's also, independent, working in a metro city, and away from all those problems that we face in that city. So, for example, if I was not working right now in Mumbai and I was staying with my family, I would have been married off years ago, right?
Yeah.
So I think I don't have an issue with marriage. I have an issue with not being independent after marriage. So
Okay.
having a voice, having, being given that importance that, she also knows something, not only, we won't listen to her, or we won't take her into consideration when making a decision, is something that I don't feel very comfortable with anymore. And
Okay.
I think, financial independence is the first step towards getting empowered, because then people know you are better off on your own if a lot of things go wrong from your point of view.
Okay.
So I think empowerment for women firstly comes from this financial independence that you have to work really hard to get.
Yeah.
There's no shortcut to hard work in any case.
Okay.
So anyone who listens to that, I hope my message gets delivered.
Well, message is very clear, and your example is very clear. So, after Narsi Munji, did you go to any other educational institution?
Yeah, after my gap year, I joined SPJI Mumbai for my
Yeah.
master's in business administration in the marketing spec. So I had to change
I
my,
mean, when you say joined, it's tough to get in there, right?
yeah, you
Yeah.
have to, get a good
You
score in
can't
the
just join it. It's not like you join the line to buy ice cream.
it's good to put it that way, because I feel a part of that institute so much that I don't feel like saying I cracked it, or I,
No, you
did
should
a
say I
huge thing.
cracked. I'll say that you cracked it because the way you put it is like I stood in the line for the train. Okay, no.
I was rejected for the first round, first year, and then I had to reapply, retake the exam, and then I got in.
So there's a lot
And
of
I
work
think
and determination in this, right?
failure should not stop you. I think I failed twice in my life, back to back, first
Yeah,
year, second year. And mind you, my preparation was almost similar both the years.
yeah,
But even then, I failed,
yeah. It's very
and
tough. India is very
it,
competitive these days.
right.
Okay, so all right. And then after that, now you finished that MBA, right?
I finished MBA 5 months ago. I took a break. I started my job 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And here we are working, being
Okay.
independent.
Okay. It's very good to hear you. Anything else you want to add?
Nothing much from my side anymore. If you have any questions, anything,
No,
I'll.
I don't have questions. I don't believe in
Yeah.
questioning young people. I just want to listen to them. As I told you, I'm a participatory listener. I listen, because all the time, as you have mentioned, I mean, it's the same for me, for women and men, but especially for women, nobody lets them talk. My view in this show is I shut up. People say I talk too much, which is true. So I shut up and listen. Okay. I'm not saying
That's
it.
good.
Okay, so you.
I think I have conveyed my story very well. I hope I did. And I hope this inspires someone down the line. Someone. Even
Okay,
a
so
1% difference would make the cut.
all right, fine. So we'll perhaps catch up with you 1 year from now to
Surely.
see where your job takes you, whether you experience any issues in your job, or whether you fly high. Who knows? I don't know. I don't.
True.
We'll see how you do. Whether
Surely.
you feel you are a Mumbaikar now, not from Chhattisgarh. But
Right.
but there'll come a point where you are not Chhattisgarhi, you are Mumbaikar. Are you at that point yet? Maybe not.
I think I already am. It's been what? I shifted to Mumbai in 2016. It's
Yeah, so
been
you are a
quite some
Mumbaikar
time.
now. Yeah,
I have become a Mumbaiker.
I know you become a Mumbaikar.
Yeah.
Good. So we'll see what you do and what you achieve in 1 year. Until then, let's say bye and let's
Bye
end this
bye.
recording here. We will. Just telling the viewers, I'll be back with another expert or another young person soon. Till then, bye.